Welcome back to another episode of Mommies, Mo Problems, your podcast destination for all things mommy. I am your host, Kaylia Flowers, and I've been trying to take care of myself. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about parenting through the highs and lows of emotional instability. And I just kind of want to start off by saying that when you hear the term unstable, I think a lot of people think, oh, she's crazy, or oh, this person is deeply flawed, or they're broken, or whatever the freaking storyline is out there. So much of our instability is like outside of our control, especially when you're dealing with complex PTSD or any kind of neurodivergence where the way you process your emotions, the way you process things that are happening around you in the world around you is different. And it's already different from the norm. You know what I mean? And so much of our instability is because of those kinds of things. When I talk about being a mom who's emotionally unstable, hear me and understand. I'm not like gonna go hurt someone. That's not where I'm at mentally. But I do experience my emotions on like level 100, whether it's here or here, and I just think there's very little nuance for me. It's like this, they're big waves, and so that's hard. And I know that someone out there also experiences their emotions like that, so I feel like it's important to talk about it because I, at least this year, have decided to stop looking at that experience I have with my emotions and that relationship I have with myself, and I'm trying not to see it as this like defective thing that makes me weak, and more of this kind of something that empowers me. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, this is kind of like a little superpower, and I'm just a little bit more in touch with my emotions in a different way. But that means that now I'm self-aware and I have to take care of myself. You know what I mean? All of that to say that I kind of just wanted to talk about how I try to balance my struggle with this part of my emotions with the like this part of parenting and marriage. And so everything is like fucking all over, and it's it's not easy to navigate that all those worlds at the same time, especially when you don't like I'm already a bitch that needs to be doing one thing at a time as it is, and that's just not how it works as a mom. And so, I'm trying to figure it out for myself. But these are some things that have been working for me or that I've been trying to implement this year in this like growth year of my life. So let's see. I wrote boundaries. What is and what is not a boundary? If you're thinking about it like your life is your house, if you let someone come in your house and just like fuck all your shit up and like paint your walls and like shit on your carpet, that's fucked up. Like, you're not gonna let someone bust down your door, come in here, and fuck all your shit up. You just cleaned in here. Are you kidding me? You know? And like, the more unhealthy we are, the more unwilling or incapable we are to set boundaries with other people. And I think some of that is a deep fear of abandonment or rejection, or making someone upset. And if you're somebody that doesn't like conflict like me, then you're like, oh no, I'm feeling this feeling and I'm feeling it and it's just uncomfortable in my tummy. And you don't know why. And it's this anxiety, and it's because you need to set a boundary. That's what your body's uncomfortable. It's telling you, bitch, set a boundary. This is getting out of hand. And your body tells you before you even really register it. And I'm starting to really trust my gut with things. I've always gaslit myself where I'm trying to convince myself that what I'm experiencing is not actually happening and that I'm just being emotional. And so boundaries are even more important for me and for you if you struggle in the same ways I do, because if you're just all over and you're letting anybody in your house, people are gonna be like, oh, this bitch doesn't care about her house. I'm about to come in here and fuck shit up. We about to throw a party. Now you got a kickback and there's 10 people on your couch with their feet all on your furniture. Like, that's not how people, you have to teach people how to respect you. You say, first of all, my door's locked. Okay? I'm not letting you in until I know you well enough to let you in my motherfucking house. And once you are there, these are the rules to which I will be engaging with you in my house. This is what I will and will not tolerate. This is what will happen if you do not respect my wishes. And it doesn't have to be all bitchy and rude and weird. Like, people think boundaries is like, I stop fucking with him and that's on boundaries. And it's like, I feel like we're missing the mark. Like, we end up all hurting each other more in the name of boundaries, and no one's really communicating. And like, I just want to say, you're not really setting a boundary if you're not using your words. If no words have come out of your mouth to set a boundary, and this goes for me because I do it all the fucking time, you haven't set a boundary. Nobody knows. It's all in here. It's just in your brain. Like, you have to use your words, and that means having a comfortable conversation sometimes. That means being like, hey, dude, you said something, it hurt my feelings. Um, I don't want to be spoken to like that. Please don't speak to me like that. Okay? Then if it happens again, you'd be like, you know what? We talked about this, and I think I just need a little bit of space from this situation that we're doing right now, or whoever it is, you know? And you can't give from an empty cup. So it's like, you're not even your best self if you don't have boundaries. How can you have anybody else in your house? Anybody that wants to treat your house well, if all these motherfuckers are in your house putting their feet up on your furniture and shit? You know what I mean? Like, hello? Boundaries are good. And I think in the name of boundaries, if you do it right, and it is hard to set boundaries in ways that are effective and aren't actually just damaging whatever relationship it is you're trying to save with setting a boundary. But you can't like apologize for the boundary after. You can't set a boundary and then be like, oh, are you mad? It's taken me a long time to even get comfortable with the thought of having boundaries, because that always felt mean to me. I'm like, oh, I'm being mean. And that just goes to show you how much people pleasing behavior I would engage in. You know what I mean? If the thought of ever drawing a line at like, okay, I need some space, or okay, I need to breathe and to think and to like be in my own body and not be responsible for anyone else's emotional experience. And like, the boundaries are important. And if you never set them, then you're not your best self ever. And you're just out here, you're not even shining like you could be shining, you know? And so if somebody is kind of upset that you have set a boundary, then I think that that should show you sign. That should, it doesn't just mean, oh, cut the person off. Oh, we're not friends no more. Oh, I'm going to talk all kinds of shit and do all kinds of, like, you don't have to put a bunch on it. That's so dramatic. Just peep it and just be aware of like, all right, this is somebody who is not comfortable with boundaries. And that means that when I need something and I'm like trying to connect in this way where I'm being honest about what my boundary is, and this person is upset with me, then it means that they're going to try to push the envelope more often. And oftentimes people like that just aren't healthy enough to have the kind of relationship that you probably want if you're looking for something healthy. So, and then that just goes back to like, you know, if you don't have boundaries with your friends or your coworkers, then you come home and you have nothing to give to your kids because you just let people all up in your house. My personal experience, I've been so like depleted at the end of the day from like having no goddamn boundaries all day and just sharing all my shit and just being like kind of all over the place with my energy and accepting everyone's energy, accepting everyone's opinion as my truth, having absolutely no like barrier around myself to keep myself emotionally safe. And I'm already someone, I get overstimulated as it is. And I've come home and like I've missed out on opportunities to bond with my kids because I was like, dude, literally my brain hurts. Like, leave me alone. You know what I mean? And those are all valid feelings to feel. And I talk later about like knowing when it's time to be like, okay, dude, my brain hurts. I need to chill. But if it's more often than the time that you're turning, I read something somewhere that was talking about turning towards your kids instead of away from them. And so if they make bids for connection with you and they're like, oh, mommy, come look at this, or oh, mommy, I want to watch this movie, and every single time you're like, nah, bro, eventually like that forms this inner dialogue with the relationship that they have with themselves, you know, about like their worthiness and like they can't even get their mom to pay attention to them, you know? And that's just a lot of guilt, dude. And so that's why boundaries are important, because if you have boundaries, then you come home and you actually have something left to give. And then that fills your cup. And now you got a full ass cup and you're like, actually, I feel great. My kids are asleep. I clean the kitchen. This was a good day. Maybe now I'm gonna do something for me now. When your cup is full and you've set good boundaries, then now you're in a good position to actually take care of yourself. It changed my whole world when I started exercising. It feels like a gift to myself. It's a little bit of me time with me, and the way that I feel after knowing that I did something that was challenging. My heart went up. I was sweating. My body hurts after I take a shower. My skin is breathing, and it's like a hug for myself. And I never viewed exercising like that before. Exercising was always some shit that was like hella boring or just too challenging and too hard. And I'm not great at it, you know what I mean? Like, I've only been exercising for a year, but I'm not out of shape anymore. And I think once you get out of that out of shape place, then you really start to feel good because you're seeing results. And, slow and steady, it's not really about the results, but bitch, results are nice. Some mornings I'm like, wait, everybody wait. Nobody say anything to me. And then I just go do some push-ups. I go do my little jump rope outside. Lately I've been jump roping. I'll just go for a run real quick. And then I'm like, oh my God, I feel so good. And then everybody is like jumping on me, and I'm like, yeah, dude, this is fine. Like, we're chilling. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, so one of my ways of self-care is exercising, and then also just writing, being creative, singing. I do a lot of musical theater. I've been embarking on a journey trying to write a musical, and it's just been a really beautiful, cathartic kind of experience. Considering the subject matter is like being a dysfunctional human being. So I just kind of get to tap into these thoughts and ideas and these like K-isms where I've spiraled in the past, and I've scribbled things down in journals all messy, and I can take it and make it like art, and it's kind of healing and really cool. Just like wait till my kids go to bed. Like, I give my fucking best until the end of the day. Then I put them to sleep, or to the room at least. And then I'm like, ooh, I worked out today. I cleaned the kitchen. I put my kids to bed. Everybody has their bath. Their butts are clean. I'm gonna write some music. Yeah, I never really liked time alone or by myself either, and I'm really starting to enjoy me time with me by myself alone, and that was always really hard for me. So I just feel like that's really cool when you get to that place where you can be a little bit more self-sufficient, and you're like, oh, this is nice. I'm gonna take care of myself so that tomorrow when I wake up, I'm not resentful because I didn't fucking do shit for me at all, and I'm just of service to everybody in my home all the time. Um, I wrote cleaning the house. I sometimes, depending on like my level of dopamine that day, I do feel annoyed about cleaning because it's like maintenance, and it's like, oh, the kitchen is always messy. Like, it's never not messy. I'm like, I just fucking cleaned in here. Why? What? How? There's like Cheerios. There's always Cheerios on the floor. Always Cheerios. And the baby's like eating Cheerios off the floor, and I'm like, stop eating the Cheerios off the floor. And the only way I can do that is if I keep sweeping. So I'm just sweeping all day. And sometimes the kitchen is associated with rage. And then other times the kitchen is just like, oh man, I'm gonna go clean my kitchen. But I'll light a candle. And I'm like, this is self-care. And sometimes rephrasing it in my mind, it's like, I'm not folding laundry because I'm a housemaid and I have to do this and ill, right? It's like, actually, I'm taking care of myself right now. I'm folding some clothes and I'm happy. Trying to find that little bit of peace. And that's helpful when I'm having a bad day or when I'm having a good day. Like, if I'm having a good day, it just adds to me feeling like, A, I got shit done in the house and I'm not just sitting around like a crazy lazy bum. And that, B, I'm like using my time and I'm not sitting around with my thoughts or spiraling or doing that thing when I get way too much anxiety and then I get paranoia. Then like I start to like leave the planet with like my sense of reality and what's real and what's not real. And like, oh my gosh, like what's perceived and what's not perceived. And that's just too fucking much. Go clean something. Like, just go clean, girl. And like, that's what I try to do. I'm like, I'm gonna vacuum, and then I'm gonna do some push-ups. Then I'm gonna take a shower, and then I'm gonna feel better, and maybe I'll write a poem about my frustrations. I don't know. And it's just been so nice. Like, I think when I was working full time, I didn't have a lot of time to take care of myself as much. And so even though I am home and I'm struggling with my purpose right now, I do feel like I have a little bit more time to take care of myself, and that I should. Also, I have this book. It's called the Dialectical Behavior Therapy Skills Workbook. And DBT exercises are for learning mindfulness, interpersonal effectiveness, emotional regulation, and distress tolerance. Let me see if I can read a page actually. Um, it says, okay, I'm just going to read a section. People struggling with overwhelming emotions often deal with their pain in very unhealthy, very unsuccessful ways because they don't know what else to do. When a person is in emotional pain, it's hard to be rational and to think of a good solution. Nevertheless, many of the coping strategies used by people with overwhelming emotions only serve to make their problems worse. I'm like, facts. Here's a list of some common coping strategies used by people dealing with the problem. A great deal of time thinking about your past pains, mistakes, and problems. That's just like mom guilt all the time, right? You just stare at the ceiling fan and you think about all the things you did wrong all the time, or all the cringy stuff you said when you were 17, you know? You get anxious worrying about possible future pains, mistakes, and problems. You're like, oh no. So it's like all this shit in the past, all this shit in the future, never present. Um, you isolate from other people to avoid distressing situations. And yeah, all kinds of, there's so many, there's so many. But yeah, it says all of these strategies are paths to even deeper emotional pain because even the strategies that offer temporary relief will only cause you more suffering in the future. And so then it tells you to do a cost of self-destructive coping strategies. So this is really good because when I want to, I can go back and read these. But basically, if you're someone who struggles with spending a great deal of time thinking about past pains, mistakes, and problems, then possible costs could be missing good things that might be happening now, and then regretting missing those things too, like your kids. And that's the other thing. If you spend so much time like spiraling out of control, thinking about all these problems and all these pains and all the cringiness that you've done and all the social situations that you wish would never have happened and the people that you let in your life that you should have never left, girl, that's too much. Because guess what? It's been like 3 hours. Okay, you're sitting there, you're spiraling. You know, you could have been like hanging out with your kids or something. You know, and that's the hardest part when you're dealing with the emotional instability because again, so much of it is outside of your control. So it just feels like this thing that you'll never be good enough. You'll never be healthy enough. You know, but the books like this really do help. And then I also write like you can't be productive at work or school and you can't be present at home. Personally, it's been hard for me to do homework because I want to cry because I'm having a panic attack. You know? And it's like sometimes like it's not good to stifle your emotions, but sometimes you have to be able to like switch gears and like compartmentalize a little bit. But yeah, you anxiously worry about possible future pains, mistakes, and problems, and that's just usually ends up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, where like you really don't want something to happen, and then you make it happen because you're just fucking like a tornado everywhere, you know. So anyway, really really cool book. Something I learned in this when I got this book in like 2020 when I was like having a complete identity collapse. I don't know. It was a weird time in 2020, and I read about taking a rest, and that's REST for relax, evaluate, set an intention, and take action. And so I don't know if you want, find this book. If you're like, oh, I'm not sponsored, I just like books, and this one is good. I had lost it a little bit when we were cleaning, and then I found it again, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that it's back because I've been home from work and like past like 2 almost 3 months now. It's been very very hard but also beautiful and amazing, and I'm getting all this time with my kids, so it's up and down as it is. And so anyway, the dialectical behavior therapy skills workbook is really helpful. I think you can get it on Amazon. I got mine on Amazon. I'm sure it's still there. um, get it if you need it. It's really helpful. It's a resource, especially if you don't have the insurance or the funding or whatever to support a therapist or a licensed professional right now. This is really good. Um, it does not in any way like replace therapy, but it definitely like it's a good tool to have on hand. Um, and it really is helpful, especially when you put your pride to the side and you really get honest about like who you are and the way that you process your emotions and things that are going on. And as moms, I feel like it's even harder because there's so many things that are stressful as fuck for no reason for us because people like to make our life hella hard as moms. I don't know why. It's like you have a baby and everybody hates you. But that's how it feels sometimes, you know? Like you get smacked like with like a 6 week maternity leave and then you have to come back to work and then they're like, why are you taking so long to milk your titties? Hurry up. Hurry up with your titty milking. How long does this titty milking situation take? You know what I mean? And not everybody has the same experience, but like that was my experience. And even when I had my first baby when I was young, it was like I was just getting punched with these like expectations of like um the snapback culture of like I'm skinny now. Look, I just had a baby and you can't even tell. It's like maybe it's because you're 19 years old. You know what I mean? Anyway, a little bit off topic, but yeah, my self care, exercising, writing music, cleaning the house, DBT workbook, and when I'm having a good day, I don't do some of these things so much. Like if I'm having a really good day, I might go outside with my kids and then like everybody's chilling. I might watch a movie, you know, do a little bit of something chill, color or something. But when I'm definitely not having a good day, this is when I try to lean into these things because I'm like, these are things that are help me cope, help me process my emotions, allow me to think about those emotions in a way that's more constructive and not just me talking shit about myself or like adding more to shit that's not there, you know. um anyway, so the next thing I put was communicate, which kind of goes hand in hand with boundaries, but communicating is hard to do. Sometimes I feel like I'm gonna die when I have to use my words because I'm so afraid of conflict and I'm so afraid of people being upset with me that I in the past have like shape shifted my entire personality to be whatever person I'm hanging out with wants me to be. And like you could call it code switching, you could call it being a chameleon, call it being fake. I don't know, bitch. I was just trying to like be Mrs. Everybody so I could please everybody. But like at the end of the day, you can't please everybody. It's impossible. Like it just is impossible. But it's hard to think about those things when you're feeling triggered. And when I need to communicate, it's usually because I'm feeling something in here and I know that my emotions could be like this. So my first instinct is to invalidate my experience in the first place. But if I can get past that point and I'm like, no, 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 your feelings are valid. This is a real feeling that you're having. You should say something. And if I don't talk myself out of that, then I have to find ways to communicate in a way that's effective. Because the way you say things affects the way it's being received, you know? I guess as long as we're communicating in a way that's gentle and we know that we're being gentle, then we don't have to be responsible for whatever reaction that they have in response to you communicating and setting a boundary. Knowing when it's time to be like, I need a minute. And I think I brought it up earlier and I said we were going to circle back and here we are. You know, sometimes it's good to realize when you're getting overstimulated. If I'm like losing my cool, my son's like, mommy, 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 and my other baby is still nonverbal, so he's just like, and everyone's like pulling at me. Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my shit. Sometimes I have to be like, okay, mommy needs a break. 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 I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna need a break. I'm gonna go outside. Then I go outside. I take my ass outside. Like I said, I'll stand there on the front porch. If there's sunlight, drink that in. If my husband's home, I might be like going to the gym. Leave me alone for a second, you know? And then I can come back and like reset. And like that's good too. Just taking small breaks because it can be damaging when we just like lash out at our kids because they're being annoying as fuck. And they are annoying. Like they absolutely are. But also like they're supposed to be annoying. They're kids, you know? And that's just hard when you've had a long day and you're at your wit's end and you're already arguing and people are annoying you and you're overstimulated and you have anxiety about all your past pains and blah blah blah. And that's just regular mom shit. And then you add emotional instability to that bitch and you're just like all over the place. And your kids are feeling it and everyone there's just nasty energy all around. You know what I mean? It's just about still being able to get up and take care of my kids, even if emotionally I'm in the fucking dirt. You know what I mean? And so part of that is being gentler with myself. I know that when if I'd like to think I'm a good friend. So if my friends are having a hard time, I try to be there for them as often as I can. And the way that I try to comfort my friends, I don't comfort. I noticed that I wasn't comforting myself that way. So now I try to treat myself like I'm one of my friends. Like try to literally just hug my body and love on myself. And part of that is, you know, doing the self-care, communicating, like all of that goes hand in hand, you know? When you love yourself and you're being kind to yourself, then you're more willing to take care of yourself. You're more willing to work out. You're more willing to clean the house. And then you feel better about yourself and your mental health is improving. I feel better, I'm doing better. I'm doing better, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better, I'm doing better. And then you just become better, bitch. Like, that's how we grow. So let's grow together. I don't know. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I am your host, Kaylia Flowers, and this has been My Mommy's Mo Problems podcast. And thank you for listening to my podcast, My Mommy's Mo Problems. See you later.